Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
John, you've been buying rentals for about 6 years. Would you say that you've hit a lot of home runs in that time?
I would probably say almost all my buys are probably just base hits, just a couple $100 a month. It's real difficult for me to get much more than the 1% in the area that I'm investing. But maybe just one home run, but I'd say the other 9 just base hits.
Not to keep using baseball analogies, but when you look at John's entire rental portfolio, I would say it's a home run, and he's gotten there by just taking little base hits over and over and over again. On the show today, we're going to take a look at John's rental portfolio. We'll figure out exactly what he's buying. We'll take a look at his numbers, and we'll talk about his plan to own his rental portfolio free and clear. Joining us on the podcast today from Dallas is John Morgan. We'll take a really quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll meet John. The first step in buying a rental property is to get pre-qualified, and I would suggest you work with a lender that specializes in working with investors, because the last thing you want to have happen is to get to closing and find out the money's not there and you can't close. The lender that I recommend is Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender, and she'll pre-qualify you for free if you mention Rental Income Podcast. Find out more today. Contact Chaley at ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com. NMLS 42056. Being a landlord just became a lot easier thanks to Tenant Cloud. They have everything you need to manage your rental properties all in one place, from taking online applications to creating custom leases specific to your state and collecting rent online. And this is really cool. They actually have local contractors in your area to help you when you have a repair call. That's right, contractors in your area that are there for you when you need them. Everything is right there, all in one place. How much does it cost? Well, this is crazy. It's totally free to sign up. It's not a trial. It's free forever. They do have some paid plans, but it's totally free to sign up and get started. Just go to tenantcloud.com. That's Tenant Cloud, CLOUD, tenantcloud.com. So I think the idea of hitting a home run is exciting. I think everybody wants to hit a home run, but the truth is that you can win with rentals with a bunch of base hits. So, John, my question for you is, are you happy with your portfolio? Do you think everything is really worked out with your base hits?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy because they're all starting to produce runs. All the money's adds up. So I've had a few that are making, maybe just $150 or $200 a month. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I should sell them, do a 1031 exchange and get something that produces more, but they're all kind of in my area. I like them to keep them local, but all these base hits are adding up to plenty of money for me. So I'm actually really happy with my portfolio, and I think I'll just kind of stay put with them.
Yeah, I think that's the way you got to think about it, that it's a portfolio, and maybe individually one rental isn't going to make you rich, but collectively it's really powerful what the rentals can do for you.
I feel really good with my my tenants in place. So some of my least profitable ones, I'm thinking, I should probably sell it, but I've got great tenants and I can see some of these people being there for years and years and years. So sometimes just the less hassle of dealing with it, turning it, rehabbing it, listing it, vacancy. I'm just happy just kind of keeping them on autopilot, so to speak.
That's awesome. All right, so tell us about your portfolio. You said you have 10 rentals. Like, what kind of properties do you have? What kind of neighborhoods are they in? Give us all the details.
So I started 6 years ago, and I bought a vacation rental, short-term rental in Branson, Missouri. But basically, I started with that. Make a long story short, I bought another vacation rental nearby. It was a foreclosure maybe 10 months later, and I just had those two 6 years ago. And my ROI was not that great because I paid all cash. I didn't do any leverage, so I was probably only making 5, maybe 6% ROI when you factor in all the expenses. And then I ended up doing a 1031 exchange on one of them and got into the longer term rental, single family housing. I bought a B class property near me, about 10 minutes from my house, and then I just slowly grew from there. I saw the power of leverage instead of just paying all cash. I used to be sort of a Dave Ramsey guy and thought you had to pay cash for everything. And I started leveraging, and I built up my portfolio to. I still have the one original short-term vacation rental in Branson, but I have 9 single-family homes. I would say C plus, maybe B minus neighborhoods, blue-collar neighborhoods near me. I probably paid around 125, 130-ish on most of them. Average rents probably anywhere from probably average rent about $1,500 a month right now.
Okay. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. Are they 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom houses?
Most of them are 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. There's not that many 4 bedrooms out here for rent. So I try to get the 4 bedrooms. I even have 3 or 4 that have garages converted into a 4th bedroom. You can get another $200 a month rent on those. And most of my tenants, they have another family member or a friend or an uncle or a mother that rents out one of the rooms. So they have 2, sometimes 3 incomes in the household, which I like in case somebody loses a job.
Sure.
But most of these, blue collar, $10-15 an hour salaries. So they're able to get another job if they lose it. But most of them have an extra family member. That's why I target 4 bedrooms if I can. But I do have 1 2-bedroom, and I do have 1 2 3 bedrooms, but the rest are 4 bedrooms.
What's your long-term goal? Like, why are you doing this?
So my long-term goal, once I saw the power of leverage and all this cash flow, was to basically supplement my retirement. So I've always had, before I started real estate investing, I was 100% in the stock market, equities, 401k, Roth IRA. And I always was worried if I retire and the stock market just crashes for, say, a year or two, goes down maybe 20, 30%, whatnot, it'd be a struggle drawing the same amount out of my monthly, out of my retirement. And it'd be stressful. Well, if I could diversify my portfolio into something else, I don't know. I stumbled into this real estate once we had that original cash offer accepted and started really doing homework and crunching the numbers on this and thinking if I got 10 rental properties with a net passive cash flow of 10 to 12,000 a month, that would really help.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. With all my bills paid, taxes, insurance, and all that, it should be about 10 to 12,000 a month. And I've got all my properties on 15-year mortgages. So they will all be paid off. I'm 50 years old now. And I retired at 65. So everything should be paid free and clear. And if I need money, let's say the stock market's down and I can't live off, say, 10 grand a month, I can always do a cash out refi with my bank.
That's true. Or even sell one off if you had to. Yeah, you've got options.
Right.
Now, I love talking about the 15-year versus the 30-year. So for anyone that doesn't understand, with a 30-year mortgage, you're going to have a lower mortgage payment. So you've got more cash flow today, where with a 15-year mortgage, you've got a bigger mortgage payment, but the benefit is you're going to have your properties paid off way faster. So did you ever think that, I guess what was your plan? I want to get these properties paid off in 15 years, so I'm just going to suck it up and take that bigger mortgage payment? Or did you ever consider, well, maybe I could get a 30-year mortgage and make extra payments on it and get it paid off in the same period of time?
Right. Well, for me to have the least amount of rentals that would produce about 10 grand a month passive cash flow when I'm retired was the goal. I self-manage all these except that one vacation rental out of town in Branson. So for me, I'd rather just self-manage these and have the fewest amount. Plus, it'd keep my wife happy. If I could probably double or triple my portfolio. I could probably get 30-year mortgages and have 20 or 30 homes, but that's 20 or 30 more text messages or calls I may be getting per month. So for me, less is more. Some people need 20,000 a month, 30,000. We've been pretty simple people. I don't need that much. So 10 is like pretty good round number. In 15-year mortgages, my cash flow is not crazy good. Right now it's $4,500 a month after I pay all my expenses. Things always break. That doesn't include CapEx or vacancies, but that's a good enough cushion right now where there's some months I go 1, 2, 3 months in a row, nothing breaks, nothing happens. That's, 9, 13,
Yeah.
15 grand in my pocket. So that's comfortable for me. But for most people who are young that want to quit their jobs and retire, I enjoy my W-2 and I'll just keep going another 15 years. But for them scaling up with 30-year mortgages, I totally understand that. They could pay it off earlier if they want. But for me, I'm not that. It's hard for me to pay something off quick. For example, I got a car loan 5 years ago and I said, I'll pay this thing off in 2 years. I'll just double up my payments. I've only made one extra payment.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do that. But I don't really need the cash flow now. But some people need a lot extra monthly cash flow to cover their other expenses. So I'm cool with just the 15-year mortgages.
I love your strategy. I mean, it's so simple. You're buying 10 properties on 15-year mortgages. You're going to get these things paid off, and then you're going to have $10,000 a month.
Right. And I just did my taxes. I do them all on TurboTax, but the more properties you have, the more receipts coming in, the more things you're dealing with, writing all the expenses down. I'm thinking like, gosh, I don't know how these guys manage 20 or 30. I know they have probably CPAs and they have all this other stuff, but it's just more, I don't know, it just seems like more headaches
to
deal with.
It's very simple. Well, is it okay if we maybe dive into your numbers a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So out of all 10 rentals, how much gross rent do you bring in for the entire portfolio?
So per month, I'm bringing in about $16,000 gross in rent.
Okay, and so you manage yourself, so you're not paying a property manager, but you do have mortgages. So how much are your mortgage payments every month?
So mortgage payments probably adds up to around $11,500.
Okay, so that's principal, interest, and that's your taxes and insurance too.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So that leaves you with about $4,500 a month, and then out of that $4,500, you're going to have repairs. You may have some vacancy, so you're not collecting the full $16,000. How much, like on an average month, how much are you actually keeping of that $4,500?
It's kind of hit or miss. I would say an average month, if nothing major breaks down, I'm only spending maybe $300 or $400, $500 the most. So I'm usually saving around $4,000 on an average month. Now, sometimes I go 2 or 3 months in a row, nothing breaks. So I had last month this house that had a really old bathroom. They had some problems with their water pressure in their shower, their hot water. And I had a little extra cash sitting up because nothing was broken in a while. And that house, I needed to update some things. So I just did a whole full bathroom remodel on that house, spent $5,000. But the 2 months before that, nothing broke. So my reserves built up, and so it was no big deal.
Have you ever had months where you've had to put money in where the $4,500 didn't cover whatever expenses you had that month?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it was about, and this is where my wife really wasn't on board with my real estate investing, probably maybe a year into owning some of these single families in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I had a tsunami worth of maintenance issues. I had 3 foundations that need to be repaired. The soil out here is terrible. So I think I spent maybe $4,000 on average per foundation. Then I had, two or three. I think I had 3 HVACs that went out. One I put in a house that only had window units, but I had 3 HVACs I had to buy, and those were about $4,500 a pop. So all that happened literally within 2 months. So I had a lot of cash reserves, but man, it all just went away for that. And then there's been other months where sometimes you just get 2 or 3 bad months in a row of just things happen. Usually it's these HVACs. I think I've replaced 7 in the last since I've been doing this. So I should be good for a while, but you never know when you have some bad months like that. Make sure you got some reserves.
How do you plan for that? Do you just put aside all the money that you have extra and then just have that for when something big comes up? Or do you have lines of credit you use? Like, how do you manage that?
So for me, I don't have a ton of reserves. I only have about 20,000 in reserves. I feel comfortable between 20 and 25,000 in reserves for all my properties. The times where I got hit hard. Like last year, I got hit hard because I had 3 rehabs. 2 were unexpected. I didn't have the reserves. So what I do is I just take out money from like these no interest loans from banks for a year. Like Citi offers me up to $20,000. It's a 3% processing fee, but I can get that money for free for a year. I've done that maybe 3 times. And I've opened up last year. I ended up opening up 2 credit cards with no interest for one was for a year and one was for 18 months. Plus, they gave me $300 cash for opening it up. So I've used that. So I'm using free money by with credit cards to get me through, and then every month I'm making my $4,500 or whatever it is. I'm just paying off these no interest for your credit card. So I've never had to pay a cent in extending something over a year. So that's kind of my comfort zone. Some people feel comfortable having 50 or 60 or, a bunch of money or $10,000 per house. But for me, generally speaking, I don't get hit hard all in 1 or 2 months, except that one summer of 2018.
Sure. Now, you mentioned that your wife wasn't really on board from the beginning. Like, what changed? How did you get her excited about rentals?
Well, for one, showing her numbers, it means nothing to her. And she tells me, you can show me numbers all day long. And per house, a lot of these houses, I pay 20% on a down payment. I can return on investment on that 20,000 is usually 40 to 60%. Some of these houses, 80%. That means nothing to her. She doesn't care.
Right.
What she cares about is it looks like all our money's going towards these rentals. And what I'm saying is, some of these things are going to break down, but in the long run, this is going to give us financial security. So I think the first time, and this caused some serious stress in our marriage, to the point where my 2 kids, I got teenage kids, they came to me and says, "Dad, quit buying rentals, rentals." Because they could hear the tension. But when the stock market crashed last, I don't know, March or April, when COVID hit, it stressed me out. And I showed my wife, look how much we lost in our portfolio here. But our real estate, the checks are coming in. Real estate, I expected maybe the market to go down a little bit, but I said, even if we have to lower rents $100, $200 a month, we're still making money. We're still okay. And I said, this gives me peace of mind. This gives me security, because most of our properties are in C plus class neighborhoods. Those are the neighborhoods that are always going to be in demand.
Sure.
People might get foreclosed on, or people from A and B properties might bump down because they can't afford the expensive ones. But I told her, this gives me peace of mind. This gives me security. I can sleep better at night. I don't mind if the stock market goes down. I always look at it as a buying opportunity. I said, hey, that excites me. I'm going to put as much money as I can to buy some discounted stocks, which I did. But I said, if I'm retired and this happened, this would really make me nervous. So for the first time, that helped her get on board, because, again, showing her numbers, and she told me, you can show me numbers till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't mean anything. It just stresses me out. She said, I didn't grow up like this. My parents didn't go out and get a bunch of mortgages and buy all these houses. We just had one mortgage and we lived a normal life. And I said, well, not all entrepreneurs, think like that. I'm thinking outside the box, and I'm looking long-term, and this will be great for our kids as far as like legacy building, generational wealth, as well as that. I said, this gives us a lot less stress for everybody. I said, our kids are going to inherit all these, and they won't ever have to worry about getting a high paying job or stress about that. They can just go into some field that they really enjoy. And we can she says, well, if you die, I'm just going to sell all these. I said, no, just get a property manager.
Right.
It's like $1,300 a month. I think I calculated for all mine, maybe $16,000 a year. But I said, just get a property manager, put them on there. They'll just wire you money in your bank account, get a CPA. It's done. You don't have to think about it. Break. They take care of it. It's legacy wealth for you and the kids.
So is she coming around now? Is she on board more with the rentals?
Yeah. She's finally starting to warm up to the idea, but I don't think she'd want me to scale up too much more. She knows I enjoy it, and she knows it's a hobby. And I tell her, I say, hey, this excites me. Some guys get excited to go golfing, and they might go spend $100 on the weekend golfing. But for me, I get excited to do this, but it ends up paying us money. But I said, so she understands that it's my passion, and it's fun, and it excites me.
That's great. I love it. Now, what about management? Like with you managing the properties yourself and having a full-time job, does it take a lot of time?
Not at all. And sometimes I wonder if I'm not managing or I'm not doing the proper bookkeeping, because literally I get on average maybe nobody calls me. My tenants all just text text me something, unless it's like a major emergency. Like I had a pipe burst a couple days ago. The guy called me, but nobody calls me. So they just maybe one text message a month. And usually it's a tenant saying, hey, I'm going to be a week late, to be honest. And when I do get a text message, let's say somebody, I don't know, there's a plumbing issue, there's an electrical issue, or rodents in the house, whatever. I just text, say, my pest control guy, or I just text my HVAC guy to go fix it. Usually during the summertime, I get maybe 3, fuses that bust go out on an AC unit or something else like that. But literally, it's like I got 2 HVAC guys on speed dial, and they're there within usually an hour. So that part of it isn't stressful at all. And then the expenses, no big deal. I just write them down in a folder for each property and jam a receipt in there, and I'm good to go. Then when it's time for taxes, which I just did, it takes me maybe 5 minutes per property, just total up my receipts, and then boom, that's it.
If anybody wants to reach out to John, I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 307. If John inspired you and you're ready to buy your first rental, or you want to add to your portfolio, the lender that I recommend is our sponsor today. It's Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. Chaley is a nationwide lender, and she specializes in helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something that'll work for you in your situation. To set up a time to talk to Chaley, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's ridgelendinggroup.com. NMLS 42056. I'd also like to thank Tenant Cloud for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking for local contractors in your area for any repair issues you might have at your rentals, or if you need to get copies of local leases, or you want to set up ACH payment processing, you can do it all at tenantcloud.com. That's tenantcloud, CLOUD.com. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Make sure you subscribe. We put out new interviews every single Tuesday, and if you subscribe, you'll get notified as soon as they come out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.